A Merry Little Christmas by Julia Williams. Read by Penelope McDonald. Prologue. The last rays of a winter's sunset sent streaks of orange and pink across the white fields. Dusk was settling as a motorbike roared its way through the snowy countryside. Large groups of birds took to the air as it sped past, and flocks of sheep ran wildly round in circles. The sound of the engine echoed down the country lanes, disturbing the chilly peace. The leather-clad rider wore a black jacket with a flaming sword emblazoned on his back, which, along with his gold and orange helmet, made him resemble a modern-day knight. As the rider stopped at the top of the hill overlooking Hope Christmas, he took off his helmet and stared down into the town. The Christmas lights were still twinkling in the high street. The lamps from the houses down below gave the place a cosy, homely feel, as if the whole town were drawing a collective sigh. The rider flexed his hands and smiled. The words "ducks" on one set of knuckles and "Michael" on the other just visible underneath his fingerless gloves. He was good-looking, with a dark complexion, devastating cheekbones, curly dark hair which tickled the collar of his jacket, and piercing blue eyes. So, Hope Christmas. Long time no see, he muttered. Uncle Ralph was right. It's a beautiful little place. I shall look forward to renewing my acquaintance with you. He put his helmet back on, revved the engine, and roared down the road and into town, noting the quaint little shops, the antiques market, flower stall, the bookshop and market square where a Christmas tree stood proudly in the centre. The town was deserted, with only one or two brave souls prepared to come out on such a cold night. One of them, a pensioner tootling along on a mobile buggy, stopped to say hello. "Well, Michael Nicholas, as I live and breathe. Your uncle said you might be coming. It's good to see you after all these years. And you, Miss Woods." Michael smiled a devilishly handsome smile. "It's been far too long." "Will you be staying a while?" she asked. Michael looked around him. "That, I think, depends on who needs me," he said. "I think you'll find there's always a need," said Miss Woods. "Then yes, I think I'll be here a while," said Michael, his smile crinkling up to his blue eyes. "I look forward to it," said Miss Woods. "Happy Christmas." "And to you," said Michael, before climbing back on his bike and speeding off to Hopesay Manor. It was good to be back. New Year. Cat Tinsall unwound the fairy lights from her suddenly bereft Christmas tree, then carefully placed them in the Santa sack which was bulging with the rest of the Christmas decorations. She sat back on her heels and looked out of the large patio door onto her frozen garden, where a lonely-looking robin pecked at the crumbs on the bird table. It was a grey, cold day, the sort that sapped your soul in early January. She sighed and tried not to feel too bereft herself. Even the Shropshire Hills, the view of which was one of the reasons they'd bought this old converted farmhouse when they'd moved up to Hope Christmas 4 years earlier, were shrouded in grey gloom. Christmas, her favourite time of the year, was over once more. The bright, shiny New Year, which had beckoned so enticingly at Pippa's New Year's bash through a happy haze of mulled wine and champagne, now seemed less so, reality being grey and drab in comparison. Noel was already back at work, groaning as he'd left in the dark to look at a project the other side of Birmingham, where he'd be meeting Michael Nicholas, Ralph Nicholas's nephew, for the first time. The kids were at school, Mel to mock GCSEs for which Cat had seen no evidence of any revision over the holidays, and Cat herself had a pile of proofs to tackle for her new cookbook, Cat's Country Kitchen. They'd been guiltily shoved aside in a pre-Christmas planning frenzy, but she knew she could ignore them no longer. She looked at the picture of herself on the front cover, thanks to the power of Photoshop, looking more glamorous and slimmer than she felt right now. No doubt it would add fuel to the tabloid's Top Kitchen Totty moniker that had haunted her since the launch of her first book, Cat's Kitchen Secrets, 3 years earlier. All in all, it had been a good Christmas.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?